Christopher Michael Cocciarelli was born on March 20th, 2002, with a severe form of cerebral palsy after having a massive stroke in our mother's womb. Yeah, well, the title of the film is Miracle Boy.
Oh yeah, he is a miracle boy.
Because it starts from how he wasn't supposed to make it past 4 days.
He's on medicine to prevent the seizures, and he's on medicine to help him loosen up a little bit so he's not so stiff. And then he has all the other complications that have been associated with cerebral palsy, including respiratory issues that require the trach and feeding issues. But it's getting better every day, right, Chris? Can you roll your eyes for me? Talk about the EEG and MRI.
So on his MRI, he has what's called extensive PVL, periventricular leukomalacia. So he's got abnormalities in the white matter junction, which is all highway tracks that connect the cortex. He's got atrophy, so the brain is sort of shrunk, which is why he's got a nice, cute little small head. And because there's abnormalities in the white matter tracks, that's why we have the cerebral palsy. The motions and the movement aren't coordinated because of the damage caused by the lack of oxygen. The lack of oxygen also causes scar tissue, which causes the seizure activity. So that's why he meets the criteria of mental retardation, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. So this is Christopher's EEG. The blue is the right side of the brain, and you can see these pointy things are the spikes, and this is a 1 second interval, so it's spike, 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 and you can see the left side is very low voltage activity consistent with extreme damage, and the background is extremely slow, but there are these constant spikes that are seen throughout the day and night, which puts him at risk for having seizures.
So what exactly happened with Christopher's spine?
Well, Christopher, because of his muscle imbalance and severe kind of neurologic weaknesses that he has, he developed a severe scoliosis of over 100 degrees. And once it gets to that point, it's only going to basically get worse. And once in curves of this degree can definitely obviously be painful. They can also start affecting your internal organs. Sometimes it can affect your heart or your lungs. So the main purpose for surgery which we did here with the spine instrumentation, is to try to keep the curve from getting worse. Obviously we attempt to do correction as safe as possible. So we got about a 50% correction from about 100 degrees to 50 degrees, maybe a little bit better than that. And then we do a fusion around all those hooks, rods, and screws to keep the spine stable and allow him to go the rest of his life without having his scoliosis get worse. That's what we did. And you can see we did the fusion from the upper thoracic spine all the way down to his pelvis, which we basically only do routinely on patients who can't walk. But if you fuse the whole spine on somebody who's a good walker, it makes it harder for them to walk.
Christopher's life does not only consist of running from specialist to specialist, but also a life filled with joy surrounded by his family and friends at home and at school.
So this is my great friend Chris here. We've known each other for 7-8 years. So what I just did was I just took him out of tilt, and this is important for his chair because he can't shift his weight. And if he can't shift his weight, he will get breakdown on the bottom, and that could be a serious issue if it's not prevented. So with physical therapy with Chris, we get him moving, getting out of the chair. The thing with Chris, he does have increased muscle tone and low muscle tone at the same time. So his legs get floppy, but sometimes they get very stiff. His arms are very tight. So when I get him upright and I get him moving, may not seem like a lot, but I can feel his respiration getting increased, so we're trying to get air through his lungs to avoid pneumonia. Right? There you go. So I'm getting him moving through his hips. Here. He's getting weight through his knees. Because you have to remember, when you put weight through your bones, they get weak. So we try to do everything we can. That's why we want to go back to the standing program, too. Yeah. All right. So again, the other thing I'm protecting is he's got a G-tube. So he's got a G-tube here. He's got a trach up here, so we want to make sure none of it gets too much pressure. Now again, this is Chris's feet. So he has very special braces, as you can see. They kind of look like his feet that we put on to give him the support that he needs.
You show here and show.
Well, that was fun.
Despite all of his troubles, Christopher manages to light up the room with a smile every single
In
day.
the darkness, the trees are full of starlight. He's a miracle, something you'll never believe. When he smiles, he lights the room and makes you feel so lucky. 'Cause the miracle boy showed me how to live.